that person, the jello is the most important thing. His whole life revolves around it. Yeah. Before we get into the recovery thing, you have to really get a flavor of the dreaming of this place. Yeah. Just on a basic level, the subjectiveness of our experiences should tell us something. Yeah. It should. I mean, it's obviously, if you can make mountains out of molehills, seemingly, or something can make mountains out of molehills, there can't be any mountains or molehills. Yeah. Because a molehill would be a molehill would be a molehill. It was if it was real. And a mountain would be a mountain and a mountain if it was real. But it isn't real. We're giving everything the meaning it has. And when we're addicted and taken over by alcoholism and shit like that, it gives basically the same meaning through thousands of different, seemingly different people. The same fucking meaning. Yeah. So by following the commonality, you see part of the disease has to do with the extremely personal, which it isn't. Just because you have an
Hey
extreme
Paul, I saw you fucking masturbating the other night. I see you fucking childbreeding.
case, yeah, yeah.
Hey, I saw you fucking masturbating.
Zoom bomber.
Fucking
Crazy on there?
That's a Zoom bomber.
The funny thing is, he may have worked on it for 8 hours just to say the word masturbate. Mind-boggling. Really, it just blows my mind. It just just blows my mind what an undirected head gets to, really. We do admit that we're driven, yes, by things. Can everyone agree with that? That the propulsion of our life isn't self-generated or inner-generated. We're driven. We're driven by things.
For sure.
Lots of things. Yeah. Now, the idea of not being the driver and driven should be clear. You know, this is the thing you get in.
nobody fucking cares.
You get
You watch
in.
fucking child porn. Yeah, you watch. I'm fucking exposing it, dude. You masturbate at child porn, dude. Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares.
There you go. Wow. It's funny when someone says nobody cares, but they took all that effort to get into the Zoom. Yeah. So probably the person who mostly cares about the meaning today is the Zoom bomber.
Adidas.
Isn't that funny? It is. The funniness of it. We can't get out of this obsession with self. It's just that's the great news, really. Yeah. So maybe finally you look at the indoor instead of the outdoor, because there's a belief you entered something and now you have to get out. Maybe you never entered it. Yeah. That's the only way. All the outs have been used, haven't they? All the outs have been used and they have failed, or they wouldn't be accompanied with adjectives like amazing, radical, new, extreme, because the same thing, when it wasn't packaged as radical, extreme, and new, failed. And it's going to fail when it's called radical, extreme, and new. It's going to fail because self can't get out of self. I knew a lady, I liked her very much, still do. She met so many amazing things, but they never made her amazing. Yeah. But she met tons of amazing things. She'd always report into me. I ran into this amazing technique or amazing process. And part of the relief is from that. Yeah. You've become clear that any life driven by self-will is hardly going to be a success. and you're included. It's not like you've been observing others like rat laboratory things. You've recognized it in yourself, and you're going to be used. That's why they use the term new employer. That implies there was an old employer. So something has been using us, and something else is going to use us. Yeah. And you will judge the tree by the fruit, but you're going to be driven. People get driven by emotion, by prejudice, by fucking grievance, by resentment. Yeah, there's tons of ways we're driven, but you can tell by how you're driven what's seemingly driven you, is driving you, and maybe recognize it. And in AA, we've recognized it. We call it self. Yeah, small s self. Maybe they implied it as an ego or something, but something that got outsized and became unruly, like Hal in 2001. Yeah. Hal took over the mission without telling the people who were on the mission. Yeah. And then they learned that that had happened in a very terminal way. They were killed by Hal. Couldn't you call addiction Hal? Really? We believe we're listening to it. We're constantly just assuming that it's our life and that we're a singular, long-lasting, independent thing with choice and preferences and direction, and that we can be our own locomotive, we can be our own source of energy, and we're going to plow our way through a life or make a life or do this and do that. And some of us have seen that in such a cruel way, captured by the statement of incomprehensible, pitiful demoralization, that in our case, it doesn't matter anyone else's case, in our case, it hasn't worked. Yeah. As it says, people can go pretty far driven or fueled by self-seeking or whatever, but it doesn't go far enough. And we are the examples of it not going far enough. And then to hide that not going far enough, it goes really far in another way, which is our defeat. Yes. Its failure to produce the goods turns it into the biggest defeating machine of all. Yeah. Now we get addicted to the narrative, and no matter what we entertain, we always entertain that idea from that problem. Yeah, we don't really question or look at the sturdiness of the story our whole life is depending on, that I am the doer, that no one does it other than me. Yeah, I may, oh yeah, there's circumstances, but it's me. Has that worked for you? It's inevitably destined to fail, and the failure could be a great value if you could see it as not personal, but then there's a taking of it personal, and then people go into a deep fucking depression about how bad they are, or how inadequate they are, or how, you know, who would ever want to be with me? Who would ever want to do this? It just goes extreme, doesn't it? And you want to break. And even if you know the consequences aren't going to be good, the discomfort is enough to say, fuck the consequences. I want to feel okay now. Yeah. And there, once we drink as active, real alcoholics, the field of possibility shrinks to, hey, you got to go to a meeting. Yes. All right. Maybe now they have other options. Go to Peru and do some fucking ceremonies, or go to Mexico and take ibogaine or something, or take ketamine and try to get to the underlying traumas that are causing me to do whatever I'm doing. But basically, the impossibility of what's working is trying to be replaced by other shit. But we're always included in it. Yeah. You're the one who took the drink. You're the one who takes the ayahuasca. You're the one who took, you know, fucking was doing this. You're the one that's taking the therapy. Why not question that one? Yeah. Maybe that's where the whole bondage occurs. Not in the acts that follow, but who the hell is it? Yeah. Maybe we're living under a false alias, yes, in this life. And how describes itself, and we call it us. How shares its fears with us, and we call it our fears. How tells us how much he hates these people that do this and that, and we take on that hatred as ours. Yes? Isn't that the act of being identified as how? How else could you describe it? How? Don't you think that's the most fitting, closest description of what's happening? The head may be telling the truth about the head. I'm afraid all the time. That does not mean you're afraid all the time. I hate myself. That does not mean you hate yourself. Yeah. I'm never going to get it. Great. Yeah. Because you're not that's never going to get it. You see? But when it says something about its seeming condition, we immediately call it our condition. That would be the act of being identified as self. And then what happens? You're in the act of being identified as self, and then being in self produces a desire to get out of self. And now, in the act of being identified as self, you try to get out of self as self. And it fails. It's written all over our book. It was that comes from the community because enough people shared enough failure that they came to a conclusion self can't get out of self, because that's what they noticed they all were doing. They were trying to get out of self as self. Yeah. So do you have to stop identifying? No. You see that which is claiming you already are a self isn't you. That's all. And it's not about vanquishing it. It's about losing interest in it. Yeah. And it's not hard to lose interest in something that's not truly about you. It isn't. It isn't. I lose interest in conversations that I'm trying to listen to as soon as it's not about me. I lose interest like that. Yeah. I don't have to coax the interest back. I don't have to, bring a treat to get the interest. No. As soon as it realizes it's not about me, it loses interest. Yeah. How about applying that to you? Yeah. Maybe this you that's constantly being presented is not you. Maybe. Yeah. People I know who have followed this, they've gotten relief. An unknown relief, because it hasn't been relief as self, it's been relief from self. Yeah. That's the main aspect. If you're in the act of being identified as self, you're looking for relief as self. And I humbly believe that's why everything fails, because the kibosh is put on it. Self can't get out of self. Yes. You cannot get out of the car as the car. You just can't do it. Yeah. If you see yourself as a passenger, you can get out. Driver, you can get out. In the trunk, you can get out. On the roof, you can get out. Under the tire, you can get out. But if you take yourself to be the car, you can't get out of the car. Yeah. Yeah. So page 64, there's a simple, it's launching the first active step or working step, the fourth step, where we're going to do a simple inventory. And one of the themes that they put out, which I think is the only theme really, I don't know how it got turned into all about me, but they make a statement. If you follow it, if you listen to it as if it's an instruction, the first thing is, all right, this is the condition we'd like to get out of. Being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Okay. All right. That's the common recognition, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. We would like to get out of that. Yeah. I'd like to be relieved of that. I like it the pressure to go off. I like it to not be so dominating. Okay. If that's the case, that you're convinced that self is what has defeated us through its manifestations, we better look at its manifestations, obviously. Now, we're not going to go over all of them because they are legion, so to speak. We're going to go over a few of them, some of the common ones. And one of the common ones is what kills more people than anything else in alcoholism, which is resentment. Okay? All right. So there's a statement. The requirement is to be convinced. Yeah. Now, if you want to, and we also have something that fake it till you make it. So just say you're convinced. All right. You will be convinced if you're not already, but if you just say it. All right. Being convinced, self manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. We are going to look at self. Yeah. Not as self, but at self. Yeah. So we are now going to look at its common manifestations. Okay. So we're going to try to see self through its manifestations. All right. Get the paper, pen, resentment. Please stop calling them yours. Yeah. Listen to yourself. When you talk about a manifestation of self in one's life, you call them yours, or do you attribute it to self? You probably will call it yours, because we're in the habit of reinforcing self. That which we would like to diminish, we're actually reinforcing all day by calling its manifestations ours. Yeah, just so catch yourself. Oh, these are my resentments. All right. And then just look. A resentment domesticated, meaning you call it yours, has a potential lifespan of as long as you live. Isn't that mind-boggling? A wild resentment out there usually dissipates pretty quickly. Yes. But if domesticated, if claimed, it can live to the day we pass away. Someone's are in it the last moment in their life. They voice their resentment towards somebody that they've resented all their life in the last second. The last breath is used to claim a resentment that was never theirs to begin with. Isn't that insane? So my resentment, my fears, my harms done to others. How about resentments, fears, and harms done to others? Just take the my out, you know. It's a feeling and it's a flavor, but we can do a symbolic recognition of it in the language, because the language is really a reinforcement of a trance, yes? It implies we have a lot to do with tons of stuff we have nothing to do with. I used to always use the simple example of when I hadn't been back east. I went back east to give a talk, and someone who had known me came in and said, "Hey, Paul, you're growing your hair." So I go, "Oh yeah, I'm growing my hair, and I feel like I'm proud of it. I'm doing pretty good. It looks good." And he was balding, and I'm going, "Well, you're not doing so well on that topic." And I said, "Well, I have a group every Saturday. We sit and we grow our hair together." Yeah, powerful. It seems to add like a half an inch a month. I suggest you come. Yeah. And then we also have autographed shampoos and conditioners. We have a whole thing, a whole program for you to grow your hair better. But do I actually grow my hair? Obviously not. Yeah. All I do is not cut it. That's all I do. I do not cut it. It grows on its own. But the language sounds like you do, doesn't it? The language is constantly inferring you have some ownership about shit that you have no ownership of. And most glaringly in recovery, we have the ownership of resentments when they're manifestations of self in our lives. Yeah. That's insane to me. Yeah. If that is the one that kills more alcoholics, that's the last thing as an alcoholic I want to own. That's the last fucking thing I want to own is a resentment, because it's apt to kill me. And you can die by 1,000 cuts. Yeah. Yeah. You see what a resentment does. It's like taking poison to hurt the other person. Man, how much poison can you take in? How much vitriol and hate and division can you fucking live with? It eats you up. I don't care who the hell you are. Yeah. So this is just a humble thing. If you read some of the sentences without a preconceived idea, they sure sound like something is in our lives that's not of our lives. Yeah. Like something's driving us, something is imposing itself on us. We're making decisions based on it, and it's producing all these unforeseen, unintended consequences. It sure seems like it's not us. Yeah. Why do we want to keep pledging allegiance as if it is? I mean, why don't you help your own cause, so to speak, by a simple recognition of the word my, because it implies a lot of power being distributed to something else. Yeah. Your dilemma of powerlessness is power every day is being taken from you and given to self. Every day, self is sucking up your, let's say, water resources. So you're living as if you're in a desert mentality when you have a huge abundance of water, because something's sucking you dry. Yes. And what happens if you go back to drink? Maybe sobriety opened up a view of at least 30 possibilities. Maybe I could be okay, this and that. As soon as you drink, there's only one possibility: go to a meeting. Yeah. You got to get back on the bike and learn how to ride again. Just the way it goes. Yeah. The shrinkage of possibilities, mind-boggling. Yeah. You're just chilled out and shit like that. That urge shows up. It's matched with an advertising. You buy the product, you're fucked. 20 years. It takes 10 minutes to erase 20 years of sobriety. Yeah. And after a few days, you're like rabid. That urge has gotten it's like a hurricane just sucking up the power off of us. And now you got a high blowing urge to get loaded. And I've heard people share after being relieved of it for 20 years, they can't believe the urge is back. They underestimated the power of that gnawing desire to check out. Why do you want to play with the sleeping dog? Why would you want to see that wake up? You got the run of your house. Once the dog wakes up, you got to walk it, you got to clean it. It starts biting people you don't want it to bite. It bites you in the ass. Yeah. I was with people, and it's nice. I mean, people are doing a lot of stuff, you know? They're doing a lot of stuff. But there's the old tried and true abstinence, which is great, where you don't think about anything anymore. You don't. When someone tells me about their microdosing LSD and then doing it on the weekend, a full-blown trip, I have no desire to do LSD. Maybe because I've done it and what it was meant to do had done to me. Who knows? But I have no interest in it at all. Yeah, I'm happy other people are doing it so I can live vicariously through them, but I don't care. I don't care, because I don't believe whatever happens to you, if it's accompanied by that uninvited guest called self, I don't want to go on a trip anymore. Any kind of trip with that. I don't want to take a cross-country trip with self. I don't want to take LSD with self. I don't want to do, I want to have freedom from that bondage. Yes. So here we are. The active steps are the active steps. If you're new, you got to do the working steps, because there's got to be, your third step is just a symbolic statement. You don't have any power. You're not controlling your own will and life, so you can't turn it over to a higher power. You're occupied by something. Yeah. And we need to affect that occupation and weaken it, so that when you make the decision of turning your will and your life over, there'll be some grace behind it. There'll be some power behind it. So the 4 through 9 are essential to break the hold of the parasite. They're essential. Yeah. So the first thing we do is see what has defeated us. I mean, obviously, you want to actually at least be punching in the direction of the the enemy, so to speak. I mean, so we got to get clear about the exact nature of the wrong, and then we do the work, and a condition is produced by our habits and shit, and we do some simple shit to keep that condition. Yeah. And then a life gets built on it. Instead of a life getting demolished on it, a life gets built on it. Yeah. I've had 35 years of that building. The planner who's ever running the urban renewal project knows what it's doing. Yeah. First of all, it puts your fucking lazy ass to use, and you become available to others and present, and that which you thought had no value is put to great fucking value. Like it says, no matter how far you have gone down the scale or whatever, you will see that it's going to be valuable. Wow. Yeah. So can you imagine if you're a Zoom bomber who's an addict, you're bombing the place that you're going to find some release and relief? Isn't that insane? It's fucking truly insane. Who would come to a seemingly recovery thing other than someone who was once in recovery? You're bombing your own hospital. That blows my mind. It really is. You're bombing a hospital you'll probably have to go to it later on. I always love when I hear people say they hate AA and then you see them in AA, because there's nowhere else to go. What a terrible mental predicament their head is made up. I hate the place I need to be. These go on and on and on. We find ourselves the butt of the joke, and most of us aren't laughing, really. I mean, it's fucking painful. So I mean, many of us are speaking from the relief, about the relief. Yeah. I think it's all prefaced on loss of interest in self. I humbly believe that. And I also believe that self cannot do that. Self cannot lose interest in self. So be clear about these couple of things, and then let the process do its job. Yeah. Instead of being an obstacle, be of use. Yeah. Be of use in your program of recovery instead of resisting it all fucking day. Yeah. Admit that you're fucked and you're not managerial quality. I mean, do you really need to get convinced of that again? Come on. I've had enough ass kicking to last a couple of lifetimes. Yeah, yeah. So, all right. If anyone wants to share, I'm so happy to be here, because there is a solution. Yeah. And I humbly believe if you can see, and not from awareness, become aware of that which has defeated you as foreign to you, the possibility of being free from it will be available. It always is. We're not available to it because we're identified as self. When you see self as foreign to you, the first thing that you become available to is I can be free from it. Yeah. Really. That's what I was greeted with that recognition. As soon as I saw self as foreign, the possibility became available. I can be free from it. Yeah. And then it explained to me I was trying to be free as it for quite a long time. Yeah. And it went over a couple of examples of me trying to get out of self as self so I could see the principle. Self can't get out of self. And 20 years of learning happened in a compressed moment. Yeah. And they played out now for the last 35 years. But it was a very compressed class. Yeah. Bamo, you're fucked. You're not managerial quality. Man, I'm quite popular today. People are calling me. Yeah. So decline. Yes. Yeah. I hope that's helpful or not. Yes.
Very helpful, Paul. Thank you for the lead in on this. I apologize to the group. We're doing the best we can to avoid these Zoom bombers, but they seem to have an appetite for Paul today. Paul's reading. We have Jacob. Jacob, I was told that Jacob wanted to come in the chat. Is that right, Jacob? Do you have a question?
No, I didn't ask that.
I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions or comments or yeah, I don't know where I got that information from. I'm sorry. I'm not going to put you on the spot, Jacob. Gary, how you doing, Gary? Ask you to unmute.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hi, Paul. Yeah, what you're saying is right on, and I was experiencing that this morning. It's like sort of getting everything you're saying intellectually, and then expecting it to all sort of resolve, and yet there's still this process going on, and it's going, yeah, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
it just goes on, and it's like what you're describing is just, it just goes on, doesn't it? It just goes on. And it's like, if I ever want to go back and test it, I can. And it says it just goes on. It just goes on. Okay, well, I guess there's nothing more to be done about, discovering how it has defeated me. It just goes on, and nothing's going to change. Not if I go back there 1,000 times. So, I just a confirmation of what you're saying in my everyday experience. It's like I can go back and check anytime I want, but it just goes on.
Like in AA says, basically you have to diagnose yourself that you're an addict or alcoholic. You need to be convinced.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how is that convincing? It can happen many ways, but one of the ways is recognizing the failure of what you have been relying on. Yeah. And realize it's not a personal failure. It's not like one angry machine that could work perfectly, but just doesn't because you're there. No, it's a failed system. Yeah. It's not personal. It's a failed system. What provokes this idea of Gary sitting over this system of called self-centeredness fails. Yeah. And a lot of us sitting on the same system with a different name have recognized it's failed. Yeah. And hopefully we've had enough time recognizing it's failed. We've gotten over the personalness. It's like the purple ink an octopus would let go of. Yeah. The sense of personalness that you're the one who failed. So don't look any farther, because why does one want to study how failed you fucking are? Yes. Like it says in the thing in 12 and 12, who wants to admit complete defeat? Definitely not self. It doesn't want to meet that. And so we have to play that role. We're the one who's convinced. Don't waste time trying to convince the head.
Right.
Override the head. Yes. You
Yeah.
can override the head. You are bigger than the fucking head. Yes. That unsuspected inner resource has more juice than the head does. Yes. Rely on that. And all the shouting will be over. That silence will deafen all the fucking mental shouting. And the thing is, whatever idea you're looking for what you call relief, the relief of not doing stupid fucking shit all day is fucking pretty good. How's about that? Yeah. Oh, it's bothering me here. Yeah, but you don't have a 2 to 5 year prison sentence. That's fucking pretty good. Yes. You're not acting on the craziness. That's fucking great. Yes. You can get over it. You can put on a Netflix show and forget it. It's going to be difficult to forget when you're in jail, Yes. Yes. So
Good
its
point.
ability to overemphasize its fucking power has been removed in us. Yes. Yes.
And
See?
it helps to help. It helps to talk to somebody else about it, because pointing it out with somebody else convinces me even more.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
It's
helpful.
it's a we thing, especially in this called recovery. We are convinced. Yeah. That's the power. Yeah. When you write, you may not feel certain, but when you run into someone who is certain, it's contagious. Yes. Yeah. It's contagious. It is. And you can know, someone who's fucked can know someone else was fucked. I mean, it's obvious. Yeah. And there's an open, like an open phone line when that recognition is there. All right, this guy or this woman has been fucked and I'm fucked. You can get it. Yes. And this person seems to be certain and is acting like it's unfucked. And so always what you are or where you're at speaks louder than what you say. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes one to know one.
Yes. Yep. And it takes not being a self to know self. That's what it takes. And we are not self, so we can know it. Yeah. This idea of self trying to know self, fucking, there's tons of businesses that work around that idea. No, you're never going to know self as self. You know self as what you are. Yeah. You're not self. Yes. Self would love you to subscribe to 30 years of seminars and lectures about self and hear it all and read it all as self.
Yeah, there's a business plan for you.
Definitely.
Endless subscription.
Definitely. And self wants to get out of self because that's one of the biggest aspects of being in self is the getting out of it.
Yeah.
It
That was
loves to watch you
excellent.
get out of it all day as it. It loves it.
Getting out is the biggest in, I heard you say. That
Yes,
echoed true this morning.
it's the biggest in is right. The in is so small, you'll recognize it's impossible, but the out is huge. Yeah. Most of our affairs are trying to get out of it. Literally. Yeah. Don't you see? You're reinforcing it more when you're trying to get out of it than ever. That's why it signs up for all these crazy things with the promise you'll be out of self by 2025. All right. So it signs up, sends a check. Oh.
Who wouldn't sign up if they're not convinced that self can't get out of self? Who wouldn't
Well, the
sign up?
beautiful thing is, all those signing ups when you're not convinced, in one way, is attempting to be used to convince you. Yeah. All the failures of your attempts to escape really is a form of love
Mm,
to bring you
yeah,
to the point to recognize you are what you're looking for. Yeah.
yeah.
It's not sadism. It's trying to, it just keeps knocking on the door until there's an answer, really.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So once you see, oh, the failures have been my greatest success. They have, because they've told me how unreliable that which I was relying as is. Yes. They had, it was glaring, and finally I get the message. Yeah. So hallelujah, bring on. Yeah. Take a 3-year seminar to understand self as self. Great. Yeah. Halfway through that seminar, hopefully they have a refund. Halfway through, you may get it. Wow, I'm feeding that shit. I'd like to starve. Okay. You're probably not going to sign up to another seminar ever again. It worked. Taking seminars, when they lead you to not taking seminars, that's their fucking value. Retreats are meant to lead you to a point where you don't go on a retreat. Hopefully. That's their value. Yeah.
It would be worth it.
What?
That would be worth it.
Yes, of course. If you have to pay for your lessons in life, great. That's one way to go. Yeah. Yeah. The point is the being convinced. It's essential.
Mm.
Yeah. It's essential, because this isn't about the door closed and it's still sort of closed when there's a crack in it. No, the head loves those little cracks. Abstinence is the key, in a sense. Yeah. You start from you outgrow false evidence, really. You do just outgrow false evidence. It doesn't move you like it used to. There's still some golden oldies that may, but most of the other shit doesn't move you anymore. Yeah. Because you're being moved by the spirit, let's call it. Yes. Yeah. That's the better way. You're going to be moved. Yeah. You're going to be moved by thought, emotion, let's call it spirit. Yeah. Which has been the best guide in your life? Spirit, probably. What? Yes. So here we go. I'm going to lean that way. What's fueling? What's allowing the spirit to have such an influence? An obvious one that I can recognize: a loss of interest in self. Yeah. All right. So how can I lose interest in self? Not as self. Thank you for that warning. So I won't waste any fucking time doing that. Okay. So let's start telling the truth about self, not to self or for self, but seeing self from, let's say, spirit. And you see it's not you, and then you lose interest in all that which points to it as you, which are the mental processes. So now thoughts aren't seen as your thoughts. They don't have the influence they used to have when they were called yours. They don't. Yeah. They may be a nuisance. And of course, you may have this mystical dream. I want everything to be stabilized and empty. Well, tough luck, bro. You're in a shaker, like a salt shaker. The life keeps shaking you. You know, get used to it. Sit in the middle of the boat. You won't get thrown over. Yeah. Shit like that. And then to counteract that disappointment without it being perfect is gratitude. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. This is more than enough. Yeah. The relief that I have from the shit that used to own me is more than enough right now. What? Yeah. How about that? But as you said, Gary, but this should, yeah, yes, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm living before the but. I'm not the shit that comes out of the butt. I'm living, I'm living before but. Yes, I
Yeah.
am. So when I go, oh, it feels so incredible here. I can sense that presence. Stop. And then the head will go, but I've got a lot of shit to do today. I don't care. I don't even let that broadcast anymore. It doesn't. It's it doesn't get the mic, but I've got all this shit to do today. And no. Right at this moment, I'm freed. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy the luxury of being free from that tyranny of self. Wow. Can you imagine if you were driven by yesterday and tomorrow today again? Every day is always you're driven by yesterday and tomorrow. Wow. Wow. Hmm. How can you have a bank account of joy? How can you put numbers to peace? How can you, write a check on the value of contentment and satisfaction? These things, when someone comes over, I can show them that in a subtle way. When I walk around, they go, oh, look at this thing and this truck or whatever. Those are easy to recognize. But what about the traveling lighter? How valuable is that? Yeah. Now, I can't show you the zeros and the numbers that verified this account. I can just live by its effects. What about that? Yeah. And maybe it will never be broadcast or put into a book or this or that. Who cares? You came in with a whisper. You're going to leave with a whisper. Yes. Yeah. I think peace and contentment is something to value and protect. I truly do. I'm a real believer in contentment and satisfaction as a nice basis of living. I am. Yes. Yes.
Amen.
Yes. And this action figure that was quite volatile and quite fucking crazy and dangerous, literally, and caused a lot of unfortunate effects on others at the expense of their love, basically, or wanting for me to be better. To have that be chilled out is it may not be a recognized miracle in the universe, but it's miraculous to me. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Amen.
And I feel like I can look towards the source of it, the SOURCE, and have gratitude and honor. And I know what delivered it, yeah, was some power. And I know how that present was continually open for 35 years, and that's with the program of recovery. I know maybe if I was in a Buddhist temple, I would sing the praises of the Buddhist temple. But this life I've lived in recovery. Almost, yeah, almost half my life I've been recovered. Yeah. So I sing the praises through the musical instrument of recovery. Because that's how the song was played so far. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people, they have other ways. It's great. But like we're a cod salesman. This is the fish. Yeah, and I sell that fish. I don't try to sell other fish, really. Yeah, yeah.
I think it works for us.
Yeah, yeah. I'm committed to coming here. I don't I've always felt through the veil of suffering and confusion and thinking you were right and living way up the ass of self. if I have the ability and the grace to deliver this message, I will for sure, because I don't care if there's tons of Zoom bombers or no one. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Yeah. I feel it can be a great value because it has been. Yeah. It's a simple way to recognize it has had great value here. I don't see myself any different than you on the basics. And so I have a sense it could have great value for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It
then it's
has. It's
a nice thing to do.
helped turn it helped turn an important corner.
Yes, great. I'm happy. I'm happy it did. My lovely gal is getting ready to go out. It's not my gal.
That's right. You better believe it.
Yeah.
No ownership.
The 80% of the us to my 20%. Yeah. Yeah. It's a woman-owned business.
Hmm.
Yes. All right. Well, anyone have anything to
Thanks.
say? We'll end soon.
Yeah, I don't see any of the hands up right now, Paul.
Well, I feel a lot of people here have they're flowing with it. Just if they keep coming back, obviously it's working. So why won't it work? Yeah, yeah. I mean, truth has its own ever-ready battery. You don't have to infuse it with power. It's emitting power as we speak. Yeah. Yeah. Instead of being the sun, just get warmed by this sun. Instead of living as if you are the sun, get warmed by the real sun. Yeah. 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 All right. Well, I'll start saying hello. I want to say hello to my friend Bill Churchman. Nice to see you, Bill. Very nice. John, Florida. Atara, there she is. Yeah. David Bitterman. Roman Mueller. Kurt Zimmerman. Wow. Linda, nice to see Linda. Jacob from the Hudson. Yes, nice to see you, Jacob. I think those shirts are going to go into production soon. Yeah, yeah. Before I go to Joshua Tree. I'm not even going to try to say Ilani's name, Volkman. I like the way she says it, but nice to see you there. I like that. You're in a little dark corner. We have Miak. I sense her presence. She's quite close. I think she's in my kitchen, actually. Oh, she's in the trailer. There she is. This is our little camper. We let people come visit and they get to stay in it. It's a nice little place. Hey, thank you. Thank you for showing it. We got Steve in San Diego. Steve is hoping he can be first in line with actually getting a physical Zen bitch slap, which he will be in Temecula. Yeah. Rob, Kentucky. Nice to see Rob. Not causing havoc. That's very good. Adrian. Nice to see you, Adrian. Kurt Z. Yeah, Roman Mueller. Oh, I went to Roman already. Let me go to the next page. We got Amy in Seattle. Nice to see Amy. There you go. Eric P. Annette. Oh, Annette, how are you, Annette? All right? Yeah, good, good. Rye I, Paula, Lisa B, Andrew, Fletch, Jules on vocals, Jeffrey, a nice crew. Thank you so much. We'll be around Saturday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, Zoom and live meeting up in Marin City. And we will be having a live meeting in Temecula down in Southern Cal, January 20th at 2 o'clock on a Saturday. I think it's up. If not, it will be on our website. If you live around there, we'll be down there. So Hey, oh, there's Mickey. I didn't catch Mickey and Crispy and Jess and Martin, Axel, Jacob. Oh, I missed the whole line here. All right, thanks everyone. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Happy
Thanks,
New
Bye,
Year.
everyone. See you later.
Thanks,
Michael.
Michael.
Cheers.
Thanks, John.